Soul music has always been about emotional, pain, love, heartbreak, and truth. During the golden age of R&B, few groups captured those emotions better than the Dramatics. Their harmonies was unforgettable, their stage presence was legendary, and their music became the soundtrack to an entire generation. But behind the matching suits and classic records was voices that carried the soul of the group itself, and among those voices stood a man whose contributions helped shape the identity of the Dramatics during one of soul music's greatest eras. That man was a singer who journeyed through fame, struggle, brotherhood, and music reflected both the beauty and harsh realities of soul music. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Larry Reid. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. To understand Larry Reid, you first have to understand Detroit. During the 60s and 70s, Detroit was overflowing with musical talent. Church choirs, neighborhood vocal groups, street corner harmonies, just music became everyday life. The city produced legends across soul, funk, and R&B. If a young black artist growing up during that era, singing offered more than fame. It offered opportunity, purpose, and escape from hardship. And inside that environment, Larry Reid developed his voice and passion for music. Born on October 17, 1948, like many singers of his generation, he came from an era where vocal groups sharpened their skills through relentless practice and live performance. There was no shortcuts, no autotune, no social media, only talent. An audience, they knew immediately whether a singer truly had soul, and Larry Reid did. The Dramatics was formed at Parrish High School in 1964. They was initially named the Sensations, then they changed their name to the Dynamics. The group's founding members was Larry Reid, Rob Davis, Elbert Wilkins, Larry Dims, and Ron Banks. They soon adapted the name, the Dramatics, after recruiting Robert Ellington to join them. By the late 60s, the Dramatics was becoming one of Detroit's most promising vocal groups. They stood apart because they offered more than harmonies. They brought drama, emotion, theatrical stage performances, and sharp choreography. Everything about the group felt polished, yet deeply emotional. But the journey wasn't easy. The group had songs such as Bingo,
The girl's got the wind in her hand. Bingo.
Somewhere,
Just you wait for me. Somewhere. Now
Icky Dicky Wayne Dang Do,
you. And I need you.
Baby I Need You, and If You Haven't Got Love. But everything changed in 1967. Tragedy struck during the summer of that year. What was characterized as urban riots broke out across the country, most notably in Detroit in late July. The 12th Street riots lasted for 5 days, resulting in 43 people being unalive, over 7,200 people arrested, and 2,000 buildings destroyed. But on July 26, 3 black teenagers was unalive by the police in the Algiers Motel. Carl Cooper, who was 17 years old, R.B. Pollard, who was 19 years old, and Fred Temple, who was the driver for the Dramatics, was only 18 years old. During the course of that violent night at the motel, other patrons of the motel, who was mostly black, was beaten, threatened, and violated by the Detroit police. All of the survivors of that night had their lives altered. The loss deeply affected everyone involved, and for Reid, he was unable to reckon with performing through his trauma. The 2017 movie Detroit showcased a series of events of that tragic night. Yet somehow the Dramatics survived, rebuilt, and pushed forward. The last hit by the Dramatics where you can hear Reed's voice is All Because of You, that peaked 43 on the R&B charts.
And it's all because of you. I thought I had a true love, but it's
The song became a minor hit, but it was the group's first breakthrough. After surviving the brutalities and unalivings that took place that night, Reed found God. Reed's real-life story is fascinating, in part because of what he walked away from. His group was right on the verge of a breakthrough, one that they had been itching for years. And they finally achieved that after Reed left. Reed instead found peace in spiritual singing, which he still does today. Reed remained in Detroit, directing and performing in various of church choirs. He physically survived that tragic night, but his mental state had changed since he entered that hotel. Walking away from fame is something very few people truly understand, especially when success appears close enough to touch. Most artists spent their entire lives chasing recognition. But Reed, he walked in the opposite direction. His story represents something rare in entertainment history. A person who willingly given up worldly ambition for spiritual conviction. And perhaps that's what makes his journey so fascinating. Because his life forces a deeper question. What matters most? Success? Money? Recognition? Or peace within your soul? For Reed, the answer became faith. His connection between soul music and gospel music has always been deeply intertwined. Many soul singers began in church choirs. The emotion inside soul music often came directly from gospel traditions, and countless artists carried spiritual struggles throughout their careers. Reed's decision reflected that tension. The tension between entertainment and spirituality, between fame and personal conviction. Some artists balance both worlds, while others felt the call to leave one behind entirely. His story became part of a larger tradition of Black artists whose spiritual journey shaped their lives as much as music itself. Today, the story of Larry Reed remains one of the most unique chapters connected to the Dramatics. Not because of a scandal, not because of controversy, but because he chose something the entertainment world rarely values: spiritual peace. His journey reminds us that success is not always measured by fame. Sometimes success means living accordingly to your convictions. And while the Dramatics became soul legends, his story became something different, a reminder that behind every artist is a human being searching for a meaning, searching for peace, searching for a purpose. Some voices become famous, while others become meaningful in quieter ways. Larry Reed may have stepped away from the spotlight, but his story still resonates decades later. Because in a world obsessed with fame, he chose faith. And sometimes that may be the most powerful legacy of all. Before I go, I want to take a second to promote my Discord. Over here, I provide a safe space for my supporters. We discuss music of all genres. You can provide me feedback on recent uploads, etc. If that interests you, then go ahead and check me out. The link is in my bio. While I have y'all here, if you would like to support the channel further, then feel free to become a member. By doing so, you help make these videos possible. I thank each and every one of you who supported me along this journey.